I hope I play well today. I hope I don't make any mistakes. I hope coach thinks that I played well. Do you ever have any of those I hope type thoughts before a game? Or even you may have those thoughts during a game or during a practice. Well, what I want to do is talk about why these I hope thoughts hurt you and what you can do if you do find yourself having a lot of these thoughts within your sport. Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, mental performance coach and the founder of SuccessStartsWithin.com. I work with a lot of athletes who are dealing with the fear of failure and sports performance anxiety. Those are the two most common mental game challenges that I help athletes overcome. And at the core of both of these mental game challenges is our thinking. Within the mental game of sports, our thoughts are the main driver, right? They're the main driver of us having a strong mental game where we are experiencing a lot of confidence and we are having a lot of good focus when we play. But it's also the main driver of fear, anxiety, and self-doubt and many other mental game challenges when you perform. And these types of thoughts that I'm calling I hope thoughts, they're typically seen in athletes who are dealing with anxiety and fear. Now, the fear of failure and sports performance anxiety, they play into one another because when you're anxious or worried about what will happen, that typically stems from a fear of what the consequences will be if you do make a mistake, for example. Now, I have created a more in-depth program that's specific for athletes dealing with the fear of failure or sports performance anxiety, and it's called the Confident Competitor Academy, and I've linked it below if you're interested in learning more about that. But now let's focus on these I hope type thoughts. So I was talking with a player the other day who is a college volleyball player, and she and I just began working together. And she was explaining to me how she'll typically have thoughts going into a match where she's thinking, I hope I serve well today. Or she's having that thought right before she serves. She went on to then explain to me how when she has that thought, I hope my serve goes well, or I hope I get this in, that leads to her trying to over control the serve, and more often than not, she ends up hitting the serve out because she changes her mechanics due to this thought of, I hope it goes well, or I hope I don't miss the serve. When we have those types of I hope thoughts, it leads to worry, and then it also leads to this over control. So what do I mean by over controlling her serve? And many other athletes also talk to me about this idea of over controlling. Well, if I'm thinking I hope the serve goes well, I'm now worried and anxious about the result of the serve. So then what will end up happening is I will consciously try to step in and force my serve to go well. So that typically means I'm over controlling the serve where I'm trying too hard to make the serve perfect. But the truth is the serve will go in because of all the training and the practice and the work that I've put in the past to make the serve go in. But as soon as I step in that moment when I'm about to serve and I try to over control the serve, I try to make sure that I get it in, just like the college volleyball player is experiencing, I will mess up my mechanics, which will then cause the ball to go out. Another way that we have these I hope thoughts is before the game even starts. And this is typically where I'll see them within athletes. So if you're having these thoughts of, I hope I play well today, or I hope coach thinks that I played well, or I hope I don't make any mistakes. Those thoughts before the game will lead to more tension and stress as the game begins. So now imagine that you're at the beginning of the game and you're having these thoughts. I hope the game goes well today. You're almost leaving this up to chance, and it's a flip of a coin as to whether or not the game will go well. Now the truth is you cannot control the outcome of the game. We know that. But if you're sitting there thinking or getting ready for the game and you're thinking, I hope it goes well, I hope I play well today, all you're doing is wishing for the game to go a certain way. But if we track that thought back to the root cause, again, the root cause is typically some fear about the game not going well. So we're really just trying to cover up the doubt that we are experiencing, and we're trying to convince ourselves and really hope for the game to go well, which again leads to nothing but anxiety and fear. So what can you do if you are experiencing these thoughts of, I hope the game goes well, or I hope coach thinks I played well today, or any of these other I hope type thoughts? Well, first and foremost, we want to take our attention off of what it is that we're hoping for. Now, I know that sounds weird if you're saying, I hope I play well, because of course you want to play well. But we have to understand that when we're hoping to play well, we're thinking about the future, we're thinking about the end result of the game. But the game hasn't even happened, right? Going back to that volleyball player, the serve hasn't even happened, and she's hoping that the serve goes well. When we allow our minds to travel into the future, either before or during competition, we take our attention away from what leads to that result And we end up, again, trying to over-control that result. So we want to try to bring our attention back into the present moment. So what I always suggest athletes to do is a combination of two different things. The first thing is we want to trust our training. So going back to that volleyball player, she and I talked a lot during our first session about trust, and it's something that we will continue to work on. Because when we trust ourselves, when we trust the training that we've put in, when we trust our actual technique in the moment, we don't need to hope, we just need to act. And so for her, she just needs to act and trust the serve that she has and the serve that she's worked on within her training, and she needs to trust that coach has her out there for a reason and she's good enough to execute the serve. The reason this trust is so important is because more often than not, when we are hoping for a certain outcome during a game and then we end up not getting that outcome, it's due to us trying to step in and trying to control and perfect that outcome instead of just trusting and letting it happen. So you want to make sure that you're trusting yourselves in these moments. Now, that trust will be built on preparation. So this is where it's not good enough for me just to say, hey, trust in yourself when you play. You want to make sure that you have something to trust. So be sure that you're putting in the amount of training that you need to put in throughout the week. Make sure that you are improving upon your weaknesses and making sure that you are identifying things you're not doing well during games and then going back during training and practicing and practice and fine-tuning them. Because the idea is when you are trying to hope for a certain result, we know that you're not trusting that you can get that result. But we need to make sure you are trusting that. So make sure you do everything that you can in order to build that level of confidence and then let go during that moment. Now, what I'm about to say for the second part of this may seem a little contradictory. However, I promise that in the grand scheme of things, they go together very nicely and they can help you get to the point where you're playing freely. Because the second idea here is instead of hoping, we want to plan. And so this is where I talk to a lot of athletes about if we're going to take our attention off of the outcome, then we need to put our attention onto the process. And to put our attention onto the process, we need to know what actually to focus on. And so for the volleyball player example, if she's so concerned about, getting the serve in and serving the way she wants to serve, instead of thinking, I hope the serve goes well, she would want to focus on something about her serve that's in her control. Now, that does not mean she's trying to over-control her serve like she was before, because it might be something as simple as just focus on watching the ball to give herself the ability to serve freely. But what we want to do when we're hoping is we want to plan for the result that we want. When we plan for the result that we want, this is going to boil down to us saying, well, what is in my control that will give me the best chance of getting the result that I'm hoping for? And this is where I said it. The two ideas are complementary, because more often than not, what will be the thing you need to focus on that gives you the best result is just trusting yourself and being present. But when we think about it in a planning sense, we are using that worry, that hope, I hope that coach thinks I played well today. We're using that worry, and then we're reminding ourselves, okay, well, how do I play in a way that will make coach think that I played well today? What do I need to do? What do I need to focus on? Is it my effort right now? Is it just watching the ball? Is it having positive thoughts? Is it staying present? Is it focusing on being relaxed and just enjoying myself when I play? But instead of us thinking, I hope I played well, we want to think, how do I play well? And the way that I play well is by focusing on the controllable parts of my game that are part of the process. So right now, if you are experiencing these I hope type thoughts, you want to recognize that those thoughts are doing nothing but increasing anxiety and fear and ultimately leading to the result that you're so desperately trying to avoid. So instead of thinking I hope, let's make sure that we trust ourselves so we have the training and the preparation in place in order to trust ourselves. Then, instead of just thinking I hope, think, how can I? How can I get the result that I want? What do I need to do? What do I need to focus on? And then place your attention onto those controllable process elements of your game. Don't hope, just act on what you need to do in order to succeed. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. And if you're interested in any of the sports psychology programs I have available, I've put links to those in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.